Why should I get married? This is the question that I ask people whenever they ask me, why aren't you married? There are a few medical rights that you have when you're married to someone, but is that really the reason that we're getting married, for some medical rights? Most of the time, what people give me is, well, don't you just want to? Like, don't you just want to be married? Like, doesn't it just feel better to think of you and the person that you love being married? But let's think of where that comes from. Like, why do we feel that way? And I don't feel that way. I've been married. It was so bad. And I've been with my partner for a long time and plan to spend a lifetime with them. Like, they're my person. They're amazing. But I just don't see any reason to marry them. But the other day I noticed something that happens socially with us, where when we're out and about, I will call him my partner and he will call me his wife, which is totally fine. He can call me his wife. But I did start getting curious about it. And so I asked him, why do you call me your wife? And he replied with something that really helped me to see the different perspective between men and women in relationships. Because he said that in calling me his wife, it was a way for people to understand his level of commitment to me in a very quick way, which I think is absolutely beautiful. But it's different because as a man, he gets to be him and express his level of commitment. That title doesn't make it different for him, whether he is a husband or whether he is a boyfriend or whether he is just a dude. It doesn't make that experience with him and that other person different. It's letting them know something about himself, like how committed he is to someone else, but how committed he is, like he stays the same. In contrast, the reason that I call him my partner is because things don't stay the same for me in the society that we live in. If I tell someone that this is my partner, or I tell someone that I'm his wife, there's a change in my perceived identity. There's more of an explanation in being a wife that I need to give for someone to really understand my values, versus there's a bit of a shortcut to saying that someone is my partner because it reflects either way on my identity. I don't get to stay the same. There's something that changes about me in perception that I am seeing in the society that we live in. For instance, there tends to be, when I'm labeled a wife, or when I label myself a wife, this idea that that is the main focus of my identity and what I do. Like, what I'm doing has a lot to do with centering my husband. So there's an explanation of, actually, I'm a business owner. Actually, I'm a 7-figure business owner. Actually, I have a lot to my identity that is outside centering a man in my life. Where in introducing myself as partnered to someone else, there is more of a question mark of like, oh, tell me more about you. I don't feel like there's as much of an immediate identity in being a partner as in being a wife. So there's more of the fill in the blanks where I get to fill in the blanks of my own identity, versus with the title of wife, it seems like a lot of those blanks are filled in. And it's an interesting part of male privilege to examine, where no matter what title you have, you're still you. You still get to define you. Your identity doesn't change that much, whether you are married or not married, or a father or not. Wherein it feels, as a woman, it's a bit of an like identity first, like you don't stay the same. It's the identity of, oh, you're a wife, so you are these things, or you are a mother, so you're these things. And that identity tends to sort of shift for you without your consent of like, actually, I get to stay the same with that shift of identity. My work and the mission that I'm part of is a huge part of my identity. But when I am labeled as a wife, oftentimes I don't get asked like what I do for work, or even if I work. And I think it works for both of us. I think when my partner calls me his wife, that represents him in the way he wants to be represented. And when I call him my partner, that represents me in the way that I want to be represented. And I think that either way, it represents our relationship just fine. We do have a strong level of commitment to each other. But it was interesting to have that insight about how it does feel different as a woman to have those different labels.